Just before we jump into our unboxing video, there are a few used art supplies in the stash shop over on the website today, including but not limited to this set of the Talons markers. We got some of these in an up crate recently. This is the pastel set. These are super expensive, and I've come across this set, and these are swatched only, so they're almost brand new, and they have this lovely brush tip and also a chisel nib as well. These retail in the UK from anywhere between sort of £50 and £70. So if markers are up your street and you like pastel colours, you can grab them over in the stash shop. Obviously there's only one set of those. But I also have a selection of paints, and I have some lightly used tubes of watercolour here. I do have a couple of the core watercolours, as well as some Jackson's numbers and some Holbein paint and the Horridam Aquarelle by Schminkit. So if any of that is up your street, you can head over to the website. Go quick and grab yourself a bargain. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem, and today we have a little Scrawlrbox unboxing for you. My up crate and my Scrawlrbox did land at the same time. That almost never happens. There will be another unboxing video in the next maybe 4 or 5 days, and we'll unbox the up crate. But for today, we are sticking with the UK monthly subscription box. And for those of you that are new here, we do this every month. Scrawlrbox provide us with a selection of mystery art supplies that are supposed to work together, and it comes in a lovely little bundle with some information, a magazine, and also a prompt. And the idea is that it's supposed to inspire you to create something to fit the prompt. In addition, you always get a sweet in the Scrawlrbox as well. So let's see what this month has to offer. I was absolutely loving your comments under the last video, which was the crayons and the newsprint. I just loved it for the nostalgia factor. So let's see what's in store this month. Here is our Scrawler Zine. So this is our magazine with tips, tricks, hints, and also information from the featured artist. They usually tell us a little bit about the supplies. And here is our artwork from our featured artist. This is really pretty. I see something white, so that looks like a white gel pen or a white paint pen. And this looks like some sort of ink or watercolour or water-soluble ink at the very least. So let's see. Polina Zavodina, full-time artist and creator since 2018. Wow, she's talented. Got links to Instagram. She has a YouTube as well, and Boosty, so you can check those out if you want to see more of her work. So our paper is A5 watercolour paper. Let me just move this box out of the way. A5 watercolour paper, it's the Scrawlrbox brand paper, and this is cold pressed, 100% wood free bleached chemical pulp, and there are 8 sheets, and it is 190 GSM. So for me, the sort of benchmark for watercolour paper is 200 GSM. This is only slightly below that, so we'll not worry too much. It is textured, obviously, it's cold pressed, and it's got that kind of standard cold press knobbly bobbly, and it's machine manufactured, so it is a pattern, so to speak. My first page has got like a weird, I can just see that there, it's like, I don't know whether it's dirty or whether it's just been the end of a roll. Not that that really matters, because we've got 8 sheets, that's loads to be getting on with, so that's good to know. So obviously it's going to be water soluble media. And everything is in this little pretty little package here, so let's see. Okay, right, We have got our little sticker that matches our artwork, and I'm glad that they've picked her facial features for that. That's lovely jubbly, really like that. Our sweet is an orange frutella. Okay, I can do that. Very chewy, very fruity. Again, I've just had a wisdom tooth out, so even if I did have a sweet tooth, I would be avoiding this like the plague. Do not want that getting stuck in a socket. Mr. Jem, that's for you. Okay, what else have we got in here? An artist sketching water-soluble HB pencil. Yay! I love water-soluble graphite. It's one of my favourite things. I really like this round barrel because it kind of reminds me of coloured pencils. Most of my favourite brands of coloured pencils have a round barrel. It does feel like quite a light and cheap pencil. I don't think there's much value in this in the monetary sense. It's from Daler Rowney though. And so looking forward to trying that out because I haven't tried a Daler Rowney water-soluble pencil yet. First time for everything. And we've also got something that's very familiar. This is a Sea White synthetic paintbrush in a size 6. I sell these in the Stash shop. I have these in a lot of sizes from a teeny tiny 0 up to a size 12, and I've also got a couple of flat varieties as well. So if you like this paintbrush, you want them in different sizes, you can get them super cheap here. I love these brushes. I've actually got my very original one, just happens to be in front of me today. This was the very first Sea White brush that I had, and it's a size 8. And I have had this brush for years and I use it all the time, and the bristles are just starting. Come on, autofocus, you can do it. The bristles are just starting to sort of fray and splay out a little bit. See, for like £1.50, like the value is great here. I might try and replace this sometime soon, but I'm kind of like emotionally attached to it. Anywho's, so really happy with the paintbrush choice. The synthetic bristles are good because they're a little bit stiffer than real hair. I find that gives you more control with the brush as well, while still being able to, you know, hold a decent amount of water. So there's that. And the main attraction is the Viva watercolor sheets. We've had these before a couple of times. They do different sets with different colours in. I think the last one we had was a spring set. And this is handmade with love. Ah, that's really cute. So let's crack this bad boy open and I'll show you what the deal is with these. So as far as I am aware, please do not take this as gospel, but I think these are like they're not pigment. I think these are like dye based. We'll read a little bit more about them in just a wee while, but yeah, I've seen these before. So basically the idea is you've got a watercolour palette in a really slim format, so it's great if you like to go out and about and do some painting or you travel a lot. The colours that you see in the actual booklet here aren't necessarily how they come out on the paper. There is swatching to be done here, but they've got these nice little protective sheets in between them, so if you've been using it wet you can just close it over and the colours won't transfer from one side to the other. It's just like a little sheet of tracing paper in between, so that keeps everything where it should be. Fire and lava. Now see there, they look really similar on the actual palette, but I can guarantee you they will be very different. So we've got jade and emerald as well. So these look like metallic colours, and we all know that Gem likes a bit of metallic colour. Aurora and sapphire, silver and silver, okay, gold and gold. Now are these going to be the same? That's very interesting indeed. This page is intentionally left blank. Well, that's good to know. Got the Mix Amazing colours here, so this is kind of like got a glossy finish on it, so that you can wipe it off. So you can use that as a little like mobile palette as well. Okay, very interesting. Okay, so there's 10 colours, so the silvers and golds, there's, you know, these are the same, because that would be 2 colours. Gold and silver would be 2 colours. And then 2, 4, 6 and 8. Okay, so we're doubling up on the gold and silver. Again, gold and silver would tend to be colours that you'd use more often, one would imagine, so there is every chance that that was a really good idea. I like that. Okay, so quite a simple box in terms of supplies, and I would say a bit more of a traditional selection for a subscription box, which I, for one, am very happy about. I do like to try the different things and, you know, do things a bit sort of outside of the bubble, but it's nice to get a nice solid box every now and then. So let's take a wee look at the Scrawler Zine. And one of the things that's on the very first page, apart from an overview of the supplies, is this teeny weeny little QR code, and this tells us about the supplies that come in the box. That's really funny. I've just opened my emails up and the first email is to tell me that my Scrawlrbox is on the way. Well, I think we got that. Yeah, okay, good. Let's see if we can get this QR code on the go. Scrawlrbox 102, it says, "Oh, the shimmery goodness! The iridescent colours in this palette allow for a warm glow or an icy glimmer, with a theme inspired by our featured artist creations with added glimmer. Inside this box you will find metallic Viva watercolour booklet, a melting graphite pencil from Derwent, no, not Derwent, Dale Rowney, and Scrawlrbox watercolour paper." Okay, so here's the information from the back of the featured artist. This is just the same as what's on there. So let's talk about what's in the box. Let's see if I can zoom this in. This doesn't always work too well, but let's see if we can get a good focus on so that you guys can read if you don't want to listen to me wittering on for the next couple of minutes. Okay, so the Viva watercolour sheets. This cute little flip style booklet contains 10 sheets of high pigment yet transparent watercolour that glimmer and shimmer with goodness. These watercolour paints are easily activated with a wet brush or a tiny drop of water. A little goes a long way. Yes, I remember this from before. Complete with an inbuilt reusable mixing palette, which we've talked about. Designed for a mess-free and stress-free painting experience so you can paint anywhere, anytime. Get lost somewhere outside or just your own imagination, it's up to you. The recommended retail price of this is £18. They are handmade, so that might seem a bit steep. It's not steep at all. It doesn't actually say whether these are dye-based or whatever. I'll maybe try and find that out. Or if anybody wants to chime in the comments, I'm sure a lot of you are much more versed on this than me. I would love to hear from you down in the comments about that. The size 6 synthetic round brush, versatile tapered brush with a lovely spring, yes indeed I agree, perfect for painting, blending, mixing and making all sorts of brush strokes and marks. Ideal for light and heavy paint alike. Recommended retail price is £1.99. I have a confession to make, I don't know how much I sell them for in my own shop. Okay, yeah, recommended retail price is £1.99. In the stash shop we sell them for £1.50, and that is for the size 6. The Daler Rowney sketching pencil water soluble doofy bob. This bad boy. As the name suggests, this pencil has a water-soluble graphite formula, so you can seamlessly merge the world of drawing and painting, which I like a lot. This pencil helps you achieve a wide range of effects, from subtle gradients to bold textures, all with control and precision of traditional graphite drawing. To activate, simply add water, so you can effortlessly blend and layer your sketches with a brush or damp cloth. This pencil is an HB, making it ideal for a light graphite layer to go under your paintings. One thing I have learned about using water-soluble graphite, I am a pencil monster. Graphite is, honestly, a graphite pencil and a sheet of paper that's when I'm happiest, when I'm arting. Keep it simple, but to have a water-soluble one is great. The thing that I've learned about using these pencils is, in order to not lose your sketch lines, to be able to keep a bit of structure to your drawing, I find it really good to use a water brush. So I like the Zig H2O brushes. These come in a variety of tips. So if you're wanting to really blend it out, to get maybe some shading, then you can use a much bigger tip. Like this one here, there's a flat one. And or if you just want to soften the lines a wee bit, you can use the smaller one. I find that I have most control with that rather than a paintbrush, just because you've got better water control, but that's just a preference. The watercolour pad. You asked for it, so we brought it back. This paper features an attractive surface that is created by the natural woolen felts during the moulding process that give it a distinctive random texture. Well, that completely goes against what I just said about it being like a pattern. I'm going to have to reinvestigate this because, yeah, it's definitely... I wish I could show you a bit more clearly. If you kind of look in this area here, there is a randomness to it, but it's still patterned. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like a texture. In addition to watercolour, this paper accepts pastel, gouache, acrylic pencil, charcoal, pen and ink. Made in England. Right. Acid-free, 100% wood-free bleached chemical pulp. Recommended retail price of £6.99. I would say you would be able to pick up similar. Obviously, you can't just buy this as it is, but you could pick up similar paper probably for about a £5 for 8 sheets and a pad, I would imagine, and that is £5 Great British pounds, obviously. Okay, those are our supplies. If we just head back over to our Scrawler Zine now, zoom back out a little bit. Back to the paper. Jem likes the paper. So on this first page here is the interview with the artist, and they always show you some of their other work as well. And this is just lovely. She really is very, very, very talented. The last question here is, and lastly, have you ever accidentally drank your paint water? I can honestly say that's never happened to me. I would love to hear if anyone else has done that. That sounds suitably disgusting. Okay, Scrawler tips. This is the good bit. So it talks a little bit about the supplies and gives you some sort of direction if it's something you've never tried before. Things to try is always swatch out. Well, we know that, don't we? And they're showing you on black paper here now that conveniently, you may have seen my recent video on black watercolour paper. If you haven't, I will link it in the end card so that you can watch it after this video. I didn't actually know that black watercolour paper was a thing until just before Christmas, and I was overjoyed to find that it is a thing. So you can check that out if you're looking for some black paper to do some painting on. Visual interest, the graphite pencil could be used on top of dried paint for adding in texture and shading details for a lovely mixed media finish. I do this quite a lot just because I love graphite. That's one of my things. Do you even lift, not weights? Pigment lifting is a watercolour technique where you remove pigments from the page. You can do this wet or dry, so it tells you how to do it there. and glazing as well. So again, basic watercolour techniques, but they're, you know, specifically applying them to the paints that come in the box. Additional Viva tips, so this is, you know, manufacturer stuff here. Try not to close the booklet while the sheets are wet, as this may cause them to stick together. It might be handy to use a separate palette with a pool of activated pigment. Avoid touching the sheets as the pigment can stain. This is what's leading me to think that these are dye based. You can add these metallics to your other watercolour shades for more options of metallic goodness. Again, that's a trick that I use with Julia Kay's watercolours all the time, so we'll definitely be doing that. Deep dive, watercolours. Okay, so this is a little exercise for you to try so that you can test it out. This is nice, I like it a lot actually. And there's a full video tutorial link as well to this. I want to see where this video is, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on TikTok or somewhere else. Let's find out. It's on YouTube. We're going to YouTube. Yeah, love it. So you can go and check that out too. That's good, that's making me really happy. Artist's advice as well. So we have even more tips from the artist and a little bit here talking about the featured artwork as well, so a little bit about the process there as well. That's really nice if you're interested in a particular style of art and it pops up. This is great information to suck up like a sponge and apply to your own artwork. The Scrawler Gallery from box 100, again I did not take part in this one. This was the one with the Derwent palette, and these are just lovely. Oh, I know this person as well, Raining Lands, lovely. I'm glad to see that you are in here. That's good. I love it when that happens, it's so good. I really like the little bee as well, that's super cute. The top 3, here we go. Oh, I love all of these. I love all of them. I actually couldn't pick. It's very different, 3 very different styles here for the main images. I would struggle to pick between those 3. Great job, everyone. So cool. Okay, there's a little bit here about Viva themselves as well, so that's good to know. I do know that it's a family, like a family affair, and they're based in India, but I don't know much more than that, so I'll probably sit and read that with a cup of tea. And the Scrawler Challenge Roundup. This is just a handful of images that the people at Scrawlrbox have really liked. These are nice. I love looking at art on paper, like that makes me really happy. I'm glad that they've included that. Exploring the elements. Oh, we're talking about elements, so I'm assuming that's going to be to do with our Scrawler Challenge, which is indeed fire and ice. It's time to embrace the elements from the comfort of your own home, of course. The iridescent colours in this palette allow for a warm glow or an icy glimmer, all with equal amounts of shimmer. Hey, that rhymes. So whether your piece is rising from the flames or giving the cold shoulder, we can't wait to see how you interpret this month's prompt. And as usual as well, they have a link to the live stream where they talk about this specific box, so you can join in on that. That is the 28th of March, and it's a live on YouTube as well. So there we go, that is what is going on with the February Scrawlrbox, box 102. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test out some of these supplies. This is like the #1 most asked question I get anytime these pop up in videos. These water brushes, they've been around forever. These are the Kuretake Zig H2O water brushes. Here in the UK you can buy them on Amazon in a pack, and you get 4 in the pack. So I'll just show you them all here. So basically there's a small, a medium and a large round brush, and they all come to a point like this, and it also includes this flat brush as well. You can buy these individually as well, but I think availability very much depends on what country you're in. I'll leave a link to this down in the description if you want to check it out, just to get you know, your eyes on what it is, and then you can maybe find it if you are in another country. I like these because I get on well with the water control. I'm a bit fussy about my water brushes. My second choice for a water brush would be the Pentel ones. I like those very much as well, but from what I've found in a lot of discussions back and forth, this is really a preference thing, so it might be a little bit of trial and error before you find a water brush that you like, but they're really handy, especially if you're, again, out and about and you like to do a bit of painting, because you're not messing about with like cups of water or foldy out things, or you know, all that kind of stuff. I really like them. Okay, let's have a wee go with this pencil. So yep, an HB pencil. For most of us that like to sketch in graphite, this is quite a light pencil. For those of you that like to draft or you know, do your initial sketch in pencil, this will be quite a dark pencil. So let's just see how dark we can go here. There's plenty of texture on the paper, so what that means is the graphite's got something to grip onto, or should I say the paper will grip onto the graphite. So that's ideal, but you can see there, you know, we're able to get a pretty dark little square there. Let's zoom in a wee bit. So in terms of being able to get that initial sketch down, you know, if you were going to sketch out something, like there's like an icy diamond shape, you know, if that was going to be your initial layer, and you decided that, okay, we maybe want less of it, or just to soften it up a little bit, you can take your water, and obviously you can use a traditional paintbrush but just dipped in water, but you can soften that out fairly well. I would advise as well that you leave this to dry before you head on in with your watercolour. You have to be careful as well, though, because this can muddy your paint up pretty quickly. I'll do a little demonstration in a minute. So let's see how well this will actually dilute out. So I'm going to draw a wee line down the middle here. There we go. Whoa, yeah. And take that really dark section. So what we can do is we can move the graphite about, as you can see there. And I've obliterated that, you know, the corner of that box there. So it is very soluble. But I can also take it away and put it somewhere else. You know, you can take the residue, and this just allows for really delicate, nice shading as well over the top of your paint. You do have to be careful depending on what paint you're using, but in terms of the solubility of the graphite, it's good. I can take away that entire line, because the other thing as well we can do here is a lifting technique. If you use a dry damp brush, you can actually take that off completely. Again, they talked a little bit about lifting in the magazine there in the Scrawler zine, but you can see there, look, I can actually take most of that away. So it's kind of like using an eraser except watery. So that's good to know as well. Again, you might not use that technique, but it's there. So yes, so far I'm quite happy with the pencil. So let's get down to some of these colours. Again, I think I'll use the flat brush here just for wowee. Woo! Okay. Wow. So that's the texture of the paper. You can see there. Get a little bit more water on the go. Lovely. So if you dilute this out, again, they did say, you know, a little bit of this goes a really long way. I'm just going to grab a scrap bit of paper here to wipe off my brush. This is one thing that you must do if you don't want cross-contamination. You need to make sure you clean off the tip of your brush before you move on to another colour. But you can see that dilutes out, although it's very vibrant, you can dilute that out to a really delicate shade. Let's just do that and let that sit. That is a really pretty colour, so that's ruby. Right, I'm going to go ahead and swatch out the rest of these. I'll write the names underneath as well, but I'll speed this part up. Okay, so that is our set of colours. I did try to leave a little bit of the blue in the silver so that you would see it on the white paper, and be able to see the shimmer. We do need to wait for that to dry now though. But I also have the gold and silver obviously on black so that you can see it a little bit better. The colours are obviously very vibrant. Aurora has quite an interesting other pigment in there, and it's just shown up in that sort of backwash line, so I'd be quite curious to paint with that a little bit more and see what happens. And you can see here we've got a lovely range of colours. They are very vibrant, and that was just like a tiny tickle. I had to do a lot of wiping off of my brush in between, so that I wasn't carrying the pigment over to the next colour. So, you know, you're absolutely getting your money's worth. These last forever, like forever. So I'm quite impressed. I'm not so impressed with the gold and silver. I think, though, to be fair, I'm just spoiled because I have Julia Kay's handmade watercolour paints, and the amount of metallic pigment she has in hers is absolutely crazy. These are still good, though. They are still good. I'm more interested in how much shimmer we've got. Like, that's the thing for me. So we'll give these a wee second to dry and we'll pop back to them. But what I wanted to do in the meantime is just have a look. They talked a little bit about these lifting properties. I can literally use any colour because you can see all of them really clearly. So let's grab the emerald, because that's quite a dark colour, and you can see the colour change just when I'm picking it up. And this is what I was saying about the way it looks on the palette isn't necessarily what's going to come out. And that's kind of half the fun with these. So let's pop some of this down, and it's going down beautifully on this paper. Like, it's really lovely. Look at that. It's just, oh, like the bestest thing ever. When we're talking about lifting, again, a damp brush, so I'm not squeezing any water out here, I've just kind of like brushed it off a little bit. And let's cut a line through there and see if we can take most of that off. So yeah, it's going to lift some of the colour, but even when it's wet, it's quite stainy. I don't know what word to use for that, really. You can take some of it off, but you're never going to be able to get rid of all of it, I don't think. Your best bet is to do this while it's still damp. You will have to work substantially harder once the paint has dried. But you can see there, I've cut out a fair chunk there. That's not anything out of the ordinary. So let's grab the, I'm going to leave that number 6 brush. I have one of these already somewhere. I'll need to have a bit of a dig about for it, but we'll find it. So here's my number 6, which has also had a substantially hard life. And you can see it's doing fine, other than the fact that it's not white anymore. That's just the way it is. Again, with these synthetic bristles, the minute you dip them in water, the point just like comes to life. Obviously, this is very pointy. This will have some sort of gum or transit glue on it to keep it sturdy, and you should always wash that off before you start. And I'll show you what this paintbrush can do. So if I just dip it in my water there you are, you can see that we've still got a pointy point. And let's grab some of this ruby red. Again, I'm just tickling the palette. Thickness and thinness and the control that you've got over this brush is substantial. Like, it really, really is. And see, I really like them. Look at that. That's a number 6, and you can get these lovely fine lines. So you've no problems with detail, none whatsoever. Let's just do a little bit of mixing here. See how this comes out as well. We'll go into the pink pearl. Go into a colour next door. So you can see that's blending together seamlessly as well. And that's giving us a nice shimmer. Now, we'll try some lifting on one of the colours that is dry. They're all dry. So I want to do this with the paintbrush though, to show you how it works here. So let's see. Now that is lifting. It's very slight, but you can see it just on the edge there, that part's starting to get pale. So we can lift to a degree, but perhaps not the way we would with more traditional watercolour. But that gives you lots of scope for manipulating and reworking. The good thing about having to work to do this is that if you want to put subsequent layers of paint down, you're not going to disturb the layer underneath too much unless you're really hammering away at it. So that actually works as an advantage. I like to work in layers, as most people do with paint. This is actually a good attribute to have, but I just want to see if we can soften out this edge. I can still see my original paintbrush line, and you can just see it on camera no more. So I think you're going to have to really put some elbow grease in to work that out completely. But as I say, that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is done beautifully down here as well. So that's ruby to pink pearl. Obviously, that's a very subtle shift, but it is absolutely doable. If we take a look at these top ones now, I'm not really convinced about the shimmeriness of this all. The pink pearl you can see is very, very shimmery. The rest of them are only really shimmery in their most concentrated format. So those very first strokes that I put, and the shimmer is subtle in most cases. The emerald one, I can't really see it at all. And again, the sapphire doesn't seem to be all that shimmery either. It's the same, even this one down here, you can see the shimmer pigment there and it looks almost gold. But the minute you start to drag that out with water, it just kind of disappears. So it would seem that the mobility of the shimmer is limited, and if you do want that really shimmery feeling, honestly, I would go over the top of it with the gold or silver. They are very shiny, like they're super shiny. They're doing their job. They're doing good. Yeah. So that would be my advice to you, is to use, maybe in the cold colours you would use the silver over the top, and in the warm ones you could use the gold. That would be a really good way to go if you want like super duper shimmer, especially if you are diluting out your paint. Now let's do a bit of mixing. So I'm going to grab some sapphire and plonk it down. I'm just going to do this on the paper. Just dip that in there to wash it off quickly. And then I want to add some of this green. So I'm going to use the jade, which I would say is like a spring green personally. Let's just mix those together and see what happens. It kind of looks like the emerald shade, which was, I was kind of hoping that's what would happen. So we can mix our paints fairly well as well. You can see it looks nothing like the jade colour, and it also looks nothing like the sapphire colour, so they mix really well together. Again, most water soluble colours do, but it's just good to know. This is drying in a really uniform fashion. This makes me super happy. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is go back to my graphite pencil. Oh, it's not dry, it's not dry. Let's do it over the top of the jade then. So let's say, for example, I want a shadow down this right hand side here. Maybe that's like a little ledge or something and the sun's coming from this side. So obviously we can use our pencil dry, and if you use a fairly light touch, oh, this texture, this paper's lovely. Like, I'm enjoying this so much. I love me a good graphite pencil. I'm so easily pleased, honestly. And say we want to sort of lighten that up, and I think to myself, well, okay, I want this to be the really dark edge up here where obviously the paint colour is darkest, and I've made that line a wee bit too heavy. No worries, because we can totally work that out. So, and you can see there, that looks pretty good already, before I've even put any water on it. But let's see what happens. This is picking up the paint really easily. I was not expecting that. Wowee. Okay, so we're making, like, if any of you have ever seen the Derwent Graphitint pencils, that's kind of what we're doing here. We're mixing colour in with the graphite, but the paint is moving. I wasn't expecting it to be that mobile, so you're going to have to be pretty careful with it. Also, let's try the other way around. Let's try putting paint on top of the graphite. I kind of know what's going to happen here, but I just want to demonstrate it. So let's use lava this time. We'll go over here. So you can see on the graphite that I have already activated with water, you can see it's staying put. Again, I'll just show you here. So that graphite underneath, even though I'm scrubbing away at it, it's staying put because it's already been activated and it's dried, so that's where it's going to stay. This one up here that I have not activated, this little patch in the middle, when I do this, technically the paint, because it has water in it, should activate the graphite as well, and this is what I was talking about. You can use this to your advantage as well, but look at the colour difference. It's made it like a rusty colour, and it's because the graphite is activating, so it muddies your paint colour. And that's actually a really nice shade. So that's another way for you to experiment as well. If you want to have more muted colours, you can put down your pencil first, do not activate it with water, and use your paint to activate it. Let's try with the Aurora just for some fun. Let's put a wee bit of pencil down here. That's woo. So we'll start it on the outside here and then we'll work in. So you can see there I've created a shadow element just by thinking about where I'm placing the paint in relation to the graphite. And if I wanted to continue down with the clean colour, then I can just carry on down here. Maybe do a little bit of blending in there, and I can do pretty much as I please. So overall, I'm loving the way the paper's dealing with this. We are getting a bit of buckling, but we've chucked quite a lot of water at that. That's to be expected. But for 190 GSM paper, this is a really good paper. I like it. And it's very, very happy to accommodate our paint and our graphite here. So all in all, for something so small, this is a very versatile little booklet here. It really, really is. And a lot of people are going to get a lot of joy from this because these colours are fabulous. Like, you cannot not be cheery with these kind of colours kicking about. And the addition of the water soluble pencil is just perfect in my eyes. I'm really pleased that they've given us this. I just want to show you as well, let's use the paintbrush here, just to show you what happens. So there you go, you can soften that right out, but just as we did with the actual water brush, if I follow the line that I've just made, we can soften it out so that it's not as obvious, or we can really go for it with the paintbrush and work it out, and you will eventually be able to dissolve that graphite completely and just have a sort of grey wash. You can see there, that's just working fabulously. So you have options, you have more options than you perhaps might think. And I always say that when you've got paint, you know, your options are limitless because you have the ability to mix. But when you team it with a paintbrush like this that has a nice fine point on it, it just opens things up so much. So I think this is a really good box. I'm really impressed, and I feel like we're getting our money's worth with this box, knowing how much these retail for. Is this something that I would use regularly? This is a question that I always ask when I go through these boxes. The answer is probably no, and the reason for that is, number one, I have watercolour paint coming out my ears. Number two, I don't actually paint in watercolour all that often. And number three, when I do, I very rarely leave the cave. If I am outside, I'm usually in the vicinity. I live on a farm, and there are things that I like to paint, especially because I moved last July. So I have not experienced a spring season yet, and I think that might require a lot of out and aboutness. It's very rare for me generally. So something that I probably wouldn't use, but these are definitely worth it. They're really high quality. As I say, I like them. Just the practicality isn't really something that I would necessarily use on a regular basis. Love the prompt as well, the fire and ice prompt. And on that note, I haven't really been creating art to the prompts lately. I'm just really busy with my proper job and a few other things. My calendar is pretty packed just now. I feel as if I want to do something with this, so I'll probably do this and maybe post it on the community tab and on Instagram. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this box, whether this is a box that excites you or not, and are you disproportionately excited about the graphite pencil like I am? You know, your comments are always welcome. As I say, if anybody wants to chime in with the makeup of these colours, I would love to hear from you, and I welcome your comments down below. So that is it for today, guys. That is the Scrawlrbox for February. Thanks for coming and hanging out as always, and I will see you back in the cave really soon for another unboxing video with our up crate, and we'll see what that holds. So have a great day everyone, and bye bye for now.